Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing the best 23 books of 2023. I have been waiting and preparing this list for like the last month and I'm so excited. I've had to like eliminate things, switch them out. It's the ultimate reading wrap up. So we're gonna hop in. I am gonna sort this into a couple categories. So we're gonna have a cozy mystery specific category, like kind of a general mystery category, and then a thriller category. That way you can jump around if you're more interested in one genre. And let's start with cozy mysteries because that is my largest category right now. Alright, starting with the first stack here. Miss Fortune Cookie by Vivian Chien. As a whole, this series is so incredible. This is the Noodle Shop Mystery Series. It basically involves our main character, Lana. She is working in her family's noodle shop in Asia Village, which is like a plaza with lots of different Asian shops, establishments, restaurants, all the sorts. And this one in particular is so much fun because actually, I love the setting of Asia Village, but this one actually takes place in California. And Lana and her older sister, Anna May, they go out to California to see their Aunt Grace. And Aunt Grace is the kookiest, most fun-loving, like, aunt, like the character she's like the aunt you want in life. And she's also super Americanized, so it's a bit of a shock to Grace and Anna May, who have more of a traditional family. So it's really fun to see the girls stay with their aunt, and then one night they're at this like swanky cocktail party when one of Aunt Grace's friends ends up actually jumping off of the building, and Aunt Grace is convinced that it was not that it was a murder, so they start to investigate, and this one had such a good conclusion. It was so high stakes, it was so intense. I flew through this. It's one of the ones I bought like as soon as I could because I was so excited for this release. Highly recommend this series and this book. One that my friend Tiffany here on YouTube, Beach Bum Bookworm, recommended to me this year. We did a TBR swap. I'll link it above if you want to check it out. But one she got me started on was Getting Old is Murder. This is hilarious. So this is the Gladys Gold mystery series. This is book 1 in the series, and Gladys Gold is no Miss Marple, but she is incredible. So Gladys Gold is 75, and she and her friend group of retirees, they all live together in this like retirement community, and there seems to be these mysterious deaths, and the police are not taking them seriously because all of the people in the retirement community are older, so they're just like, oh, you know, it's just natural causes, like why are you creating a fuss about it? Well, Gladys starts to look into it with her friends, and it's such a good mystery. The humor in this is top notch, so much fun. I love her quirky friend group. It's just so much fun. They're so vibrant as characters, and I just, my heart, like they sold me on the series in one book. I'm so excited to continue the series. Gladys is an incredible character, and the ending for this was intense. It was surprisingly intense. Still definitely a cozy mystery, but it was pretty hardcore ending. I was like, okay, wow. So I'm really excited for more from the series. This was such a fun read, so thank you again, Tiffany. One that I read at like the very beginning of the year because it was a Christmas gift last year from my mom is Murder in a Scottish Shire by Tracy Hall. This is part of the Scottish Shire mystery series. It takes place in Scotland, and our main character is Paisley. She is like 28 or 29, and she has a 8 or 9-year-old son named Brody and a black Scottish Terrier named Wallace, and she also her grandfather ends up tagging along in their life and adventures because in this first book he's kind of found out on his own, like sleeping in a park or something, and the police are like, you know, kind of return him to her even though they're estranged. So there's a lot of great family connections. It's super heartwarming. The mysteries are really good. I love Paisley. You'll fall in love with her as a character. She runs a like yarn and sewing shop, so she's got this beautiful, as you can see, with all the gorgeous organization. She makes like custom knit sweaters, and unfortunately in this one the basic premise for the mystery is that there's a young woman that Paisley is about to like hire again, but she ends up being murdered and Paisley gets involved. This had some really clever clues. I thought the mystery really had a great premise and I fell in love. I've already read the second book, and I just recently for Christmas asked for some more books in the series, so I'm hoping to grab those and continue the series because my library has like only like 1 or 2 books from the series right now. But Wallace is adorable. I mean, this is just a great one. If you really love a cozy with a strong family like structure and feeling to it, you'll love this. It's super cozy for winter with all the knitting and stuff. Love it. So for this next one, I'm kind of talking about a series which maybe is sort of cheating. I will pick one as my all favorite from the series, but that is the Cheese Shop Mystery Series by Karina Moss. This was on my I need to read this series list earlier in this year. I was so excited to get into it. I finally got my little paws on it and it's amazing. It was worth every bit of it. I love cheese, and so the idea of a French-inspired cheese shop in Sonoma Valley, I was just like, well, obviously we're gonna get along. Our main character in this is Willa. She is a very just passionate character. She's pretty hard-headed. The mysteries in this are incredible. Look at the covers. This is book 1 of the series, Cheddar Off Dead, which I read all of these this year. Gone for Gouda. If I had to pick my favorite, this would be it. I just love this one. It involves a vegan influencer named Phoebe, and she's coming to the cheese shop to do a presentation, but it's found out that she's not actually vegan. She's been putting it on just for followers and stuff online, and then drama ensues. I loved that one. And then Curds of Prey was a lot of fun. I think it's especially nice for spring and summer because it's a wedding themed one, and they have a cheese bar at one of the bridal events or something leading up to the bridal shower. They have a cheese bar. I was like, I want a cheese bar. Wow. I'm already married, but if I went back, I'd be like, can we do a cheese bar? I just got the 4th book in the series, Case of the Blues, which just came out. That's the most recent release. So I'm almost caught up with the series, but I highly recommend it. My favorite, if I was just picking one for the sake of the 23, is Gone for Gouda. Like I said, I just loved the theme for that, but all of these were just solid, cozy, fun, delicious reads. I highly recommend the series. It's so much fun. Another one I adored that I read, I think in early 2023, was The Raven Thief by Gigi Pandian. This is the 2nd book in the Secret Staircase mystery series, and our main character is Tempest, and she's a retired Las Vegas magician, big time performer, and she's back in her small hometown, and she's working with her father and family's company, which is this company that builds custom secret staircases, secret doors, secret compartments, basically a Scooby-Doo mansion. They could build that for you, which would be so cool. And in this one, they're actually invited to this author's seance because she's going through a divorce. She just had these improvements made to her home to kind of revamp part of her home, make it feel more like hers after the divorce. She invites Tempest and some of her family members to the seance, and they arrive, and then during the seance, a body falls into the table and everyone's holding hands. So how, you may ask, did this person die? And that is the mystery. It's a locked room mystery. I loved it so much. It was so good. There's also some very interesting family history that the book's kind of exploring, with Tempest kind of learning about this family curse on the women in this family, and it's very interesting. I highly recommend this. I've never read a cozy mystery series quite like it, and I'm really enjoying it. The next one I want to point out is the Deep Dish Pizza Mystery Series by Mindy Quigley. So the one I specifically want to highlight is Ashes to Ashes, Crust to Crust, which I checked out from my library. That's book 2 in the series. I loved 6 Feet Deep Dish as well. I read both this year, but Ashes to Ashes, Crust to Crust specifically. It involves, basically we have the main character, we have Delilah O'Leary. She's in Geneva Bay, Wisconsin. She's opened this deep dish pizzeria, and in the 2nd book, her ex-fiance is dating this juice bar owner, and a murder happens in the juice bar, so Delilah gets involved. She wants to clear the fiance's name, and the final clue that brought that mystery together and gave Delilah the aha moment. It was so good. I was sitting there when they revealed the final clue that gave you the aha moment, and I was like, no. It was so good. It was so smooth. I was so impressed. That's one of my all-time favorite aha moments I think I had all year long. And you guys know I almost exclusively read mystery books, except for the occasional nonfiction. I'm pretty much reading all mystery, so there's a lot of aha moments in those, but I loved it so much. So I really recommend the series. Also, the cat. Right here. Butterball. I mean, come on. His name is Butterball, and he's just really cute. Love it. Possibly, it's up there. If I had to pick top 3 on this list, Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers by Jessie Q. Sutanto. Vera Wong, I want her to be a real person. I so badly want to be in her circle that she's inviting over. Vera Wong is a widow, and she owns a tea shop She's got like an adult son who she kind of communicates with like social media and texting, although he's not really a super active part of his life, and she's kind of lonely, and she runs this tea shop, but it's not very successful. Like there's really not a lot of people coming in, and one day she actually wakes up. She has like a very structured routine. She wakes up one day, she goes down to make herself a cup of tea. There's a body in the tea shop because she lives above the tea shop, and Vera Wong gets involved. She actually even takes evidence off the body. A huge no-no right there, but she gets involved, and there's this great cast of characters who she starts to interview, and the food, she makes like all this heartwarming food for them, and she really sucks them in. And not only is it a fabulous mystery, but the family, like the found family themes in this will make you just want to tear up. Like I was tearing up at points. I was so emotionally overwhelmed. I loved Vera Wong so much. I don't know if it's going to be a series, but I so badly want it to be a series because Vera Wong is the most like priceless character. I love her. So it was such a good mystery, really, really fun, just so cozy and heartwarming, and I could not recommend that one enough. The next one I want to highlight is the Ice Cream Shop Mystery Series by Mary Allen. I read all of these this year. The first one in the series is The Rocky Road to Ruin. Absolutely fabulous. Our main character is Riley Rhodes, and then we have Mint Chocolate Murder is our second one. And then my favorite, and the one I'm putting down as the official pick for this list, Fatal Fudge Swirl. It's a Halloween themed cozy mystery. Look at the ice cream. So beautiful. Our main character in this is Riley Rhodes, and she's a former CIA librarian and now an ice cream shop like employee. She's working there with one of her friends who owns the ice cream shop, and not only is there incredible ice cream references, but the mysteries are so fun in this. I always feel like I learned some really interesting like tidbits and facts. Like there's always something interesting incorporated. This one has a Halloween wedding theme. So there are Halloween themed wedding in this, there's Halloween themed ice cream, and there's a Halloween like festival called the Halloween Happening. It's about as Halloween as you could possibly pack into a cozy mystery. It's so good. The mystery was excellent. I love Riley. I think she's amazing. There's a really sassy cat in this series, which is really fun, and I really love that. I couldn't recommend these enough. They're delicious. They're fun. They're just so fun and quirky, and I just love them. So had to include these. Yeah, just all these have such fun themes. This first one's a little more of like a classic theme where she's helping out a friend who's accused of the murder, kind of to establish the plot. But the second one takes place at this gothic like mansion called, it's like a New England Gilded Age millionaire. There's a premier arts colony by Maud Monaco. There's a fall arts festival and a fantasy ice cream social. That is just so many amazing themes like punched into one. I can't even. And then of course, like I said, Halloween wedding, Halloween festival, Halloween ice cream. So amazing. So I could not recommend the series more. It's just so much fun. Okay, another one I checked out from the library that I loved was Buried in a Good Book by Tamara Berry. This is part of the By the Books mystery series. Oh my goodness. Okay, this is the most quirky, fun, fast-paced writing style. If you've ever read cozy mysteries and you feel like they're just a little slow for you, or maybe the pacing is just a little more sluggish than say like a faster-paced thriller that you like, try By the Book mystery series. Or if you like Finlay Donovan, again, By the Book mystery series. The main character, Tessa, is both a mother and a writer. She's a thriller writer. She's got this really interesting plot that you kind of learn about as you go throughout the series. She's got a daughter named Gertie who's about 12 or 13, and they have a really loving relationship, but it's also really sassy. Gertie's definitely her own person, and I just love her as a character. And they basically move out to Tessa's grandfather's cabin because he's passed away. She inherited it, and she just feels like they need a new start. They move out there to this really remote small town, like in the middle of nowhere, beautiful forest, beautiful lake, all of that, which I love for the setting. And of course, murders happen, and that's how they get involved with it. And Gertie is she's a very morbid, like teenager. She's really into like the macabre, which I think is fun. And then Tessa is super fun. Of course, she's a thriller writer, so she's always looking for new snippets to incorporate into her story. Later on in the series, they're going to open like a bookshop, so you have a very bookish, heavy theme for this series. And the writing style, again, is my favorite part. It's just so punchy and fast-paced, especially compared to a lot of cozies. Like I said, I love cozy mysteries, but if you do like a little bit of a faster pace, that's almost like Finlay Donovan, or a little more like thriller-ish, where it's just like, it feels like it really rolls. The By the Book mystery series has been one I loved this year. And then a historical cozy I loved. This is by Patricia Meredith. It's A Deed of Dreadful Note, book 1 in the Anna Katharine Green mystery series. And Anna Katharine Green is actually like a real life mystery writer. And 15 years before Sir Arthur Conan Doyle published the first Sherlock Holmes, she was actually already publishing mystery novels with a lot of the tropes that we know and love today in like Agatha Christie and Sherlock Holmes novels. So she really established a lot of mystery tropes. I didn't know about her until reading this, and she's a fabulous character in this rendition. So in this, she's in her 20s, she's living at home, her father is a lawyer, and basically one of her father's clients is found dead. And this young woman who's a little younger than Anna is accused of it. And Anna is like, there's no way. So she gets involved in the case. And the twists in this were so good. It's a very like golden age writing style for like the mystery, which I love. There's so many great historical details. I loved learning about the clothing, especially like the fashion details of the time. Fantastic. The ending for this, it broke me in several ways, both on an emotional level because of like a subplot Anna was involved with, and then the actual mystery shocked me. I was just sitting there floored. Absolutely floored. But the emotional subplots for this too, I bawled. I cried. I don't cry very often when I'm reading books, especially because typically I'm reading mystery books, so they're not typically books that are maybe known to make you cry as much as like maybe, you know, like a romance or like a literary fiction or something like that. This made me sob at the end. I was so emotionally broken down, and I'm still not over it. But this is book 1 in the series, so I'm excited to read more from this. I really recommend it if you like historical fiction, if you like a writer as like the main character for like a mystery, if you like a, you know, golden age style mystery. I think that's all things that would lead you to liking this book as well. And our last cozy mystery pick, although some of the ones in the mystery are kind of cozy too, they're just less overtly cozy, so stick around if you do like cozies. There's probably some you'll like about too. But Peg and Rose Stir Up Trouble by Lorien Benson. This is the second in the Senior Sleuths mystery series. Peg and Rose are sister-in-laws, and they have been estranged for many years. The brother/husband that connects them has long since passed away, and Peg and Rose are fabulous characters. They are so much fun. They're so unique and fleshed out. Rose is like an ex-nun who got married. She's got a very happy marriage. Peg is a little bit more bitter of a character, but she's very like caring, and she's involved in dog shows. She loves her poodles. She's got like several of them, and these two are an amazing duo. And this particular one, Rose actually convinces Peg to try online dating, and Peg is really hesitant. She hasn't really gone on many dates since her husband had passed away. They were very close, had a very happy marriage, but she agrees to, sort of begrudgingly. Rose helps her set up her profile, and she matches with someone. They go on a date, and it actually goes really well until the man is found murdered, and trouble ensues, as you would imagine. And Peg and Rose, I love these characters so much. I cannot wait for the third book in this series. They're such interesting personalities. They fight and squabble a lot, so if you kind of like the little bit of drama, but they still love each other so much, it's so heartwarming, and I love learning about them. I recommend this series so strongly. And I know I've said that for a lot of these, but these are my favorite books I read this year, so naturally. So the latest book that made it on this, I read this only a week ago, but I loved it so much that I actually had to put it on this list, and that is The Maid by Nita Prose. I think you could argue this is a cozy mystery because the main character is an amateur sleuth. It's got a pretty cozy setting. It's not too graphic, but it also has like a different tone to me than like your average cozy, so I kind of I'm putting it in this general mystery category just to be safe. This is the cover, really cute. I so badly want to read the second book in this series. So as it's put here, Molly Gray is not like everyone else. She struggles with social skills and misreads the intentions of others. Her grandmother used to really interpret the world and help Molly with some of her struggles with just understanding social cues and things, but her grandmother passed away recently, and that in itself just pulled at my heart because I miss my grandma. And it just, yeah. What I got the general consensus from like Goodreads and stuff is that she's probably autistic and has OCD, so she definitely has some, as you're reading it, you're kind of catching social cues that Molly herself doesn't pick up. Like she'll take things very literally, and you're sitting there reading it going, oh wait, I think it's more like this actually. So sometimes you actually, as the reader, pick up on clues and like suspects long before Molly herself does, but she's just so incredible. Like, I love her. But she is a housemaid at this really beautiful hotel, and one day she's going about her routine, and she really loves the structure. She loves making everything beautiful. She's going about her job when she finds one of the hotel guests who's very, very prestigious, very well known, and he is dead in his bed. So of course she calls, the police, she calls the hotel management, and Molly is actually a bit of a suspect in it just because she's the last one to find him, and because this is the only part I found a little unbelievable, but don't police officers, do they not have, like, I don't know, training to like pick up on things, like if someone is autistic or just a little bit different in one way or another? Because the police kind of treated Molly a little badly because of her differences, and I feel like, that was like a plot device in this particular book, but I did find that a little weird because I feel like I would hope police would have that training. I've never looked into joining the police force, admittedly, so I wouldn't know, but I would think they'd have that training. But either way, the mystery was delightful. The characters and the friendships and just, like, it warms your heart so much. By the end, I was just, like, cheering for Molly this whole time. This is a mystery novel, but it also feels like a really big, like, character development story as well, like a character study, and I just love Molly so much as a character. The mystery was fun. I could go on, but I really, really love this. It was a really beautifully written story. I think it was just executed really well. I loved the details about the coziness of, like, the hotel, and I just loved Molly so much. I really, really love her as a character. Speaking of distinct characters, Finlay Donovan is killing it by Elle Cosimano. This is hilarious. This is definitely, to me at least, some people called this like a cozy mystery. It's got the amateur sleuth part, it's got a little bit of slice of life moments, but there's a lot of elements that make this less cozy to me in terms of, like, the type of crimes and stuff committed, and just, I think there was a little bit of, like, cursing and stuff, so it was definitely darker than most cozies. But if you are okay with a little darker and you like cozies, you'd probably enjoy this. The writing is so fast-paced, it almost feels more like a thriller than a typical cozy mystery, just because of how fast-paced the writing is. Finlay Donovan is a mother and a thriller writer. So one day she is pitching a story to her editor at a Panera, and someone overhears her and thinks that she is talking about actually being, like, a hit woman, but that's just her storyline, like in her book. But they offer her a ton of money to kill off their husband. And Finlay is in a terrible place financially. She's running out of money. She's gone through, like, a divorce. She's struggling to support her family, and there's just a lot going on, and she thinks about it. She really puts some thought into it, and so you're reading this and it's just so ridiculous, and it's one of those characters you're reading along and you're like, don't do it that way, don't, like, it's kind of like watching a train wreck, but it's funny and it's fast-paced and it's heartwarming, and I've just never read something quite like it. It's so twisty and fun, and I just loved it. It's very much reminds me of By the Book, the one I mentioned a few books back. It reminds me of that, except that one's more pure cozy mystery. They both have a very, like, witty, punchy, very twisty and fast-paced writing style. They both have a very sarcastic, witty protagonist who's also a mom, a single mom, and a writer. So I really enjoyed that. I really recommend this. I did read some of the other books in the series and I didn't love them as much. I think book 2 was pretty solid, but if nothing else, read book 1. That one was worth it. The next one, I love this. A Dreadful Splendor by B.R. Myers. It's described as a mix of gothic mystery and romance. The romance isn't super heavy. I would say more gothic historical mystery. So this one takes place in Victorian London. Our main character we're following is Genevieve, and she is a spiritualist. At least she pretends to be. She basically puts on fake seances and kind of cons people out of their money. I mean, she does perform the seance, but she isn't actually, like, she knows she's not actually communicating with the dead. She's got, like, her parlor tricks and stuff. And one day she's actually caught by the police. And as she's being, like, thrown into prison, she's kind of pulled aside by the stranger who claims to serve this nearby lord. He's, like, one of the employees of the estate, and he says that Mr. Pemberton, who's the lord, has recently lost his bride-to-be and he's been devastated, and will you put on a seance to have him communicate with his bride and just give him peace of mind and closure? Even though he knows she's like a fake. She just wants to like give Mr. Pemberton kind of that closure and peace of mind. And Genevieve's like thinking, well, it's either this or I'm gonna be in jail, so sure, I'll take him up on it. So she goes to this estate. It's beautiful, it's moody, it's atmospheric, it's on like the ocean. Ideal setting for a mystery, in my opinion. It's this beautiful manor, and she gets there, and Mr. Pemberton's not buying it. He calls her out as a fake spiritualist and actually wants her to help him solve the murder of his bride-to-be. Like, everyone thinks that maybe she had hurt herself and that's how she died, but he believes strongly that she was murdered and he wants her help. So good. It's so good. I've never, again, this was something that was really distinct to me. I love Be Careful What You Conjure on the front. The elements of the cover, the artist did such an amazing job. I love it. There's just so many like spooky moments. It's whimsical. It's so atmospheric. It's so much fun. You'll fall in love with Genevieve. She's a very, overall, like a good person, but kind of morally gray at the same time. But it's so much fun. It's incredibly fun. I had so much fun with this. And the ending for this, and like there's like an epilogue and stuff as well, but kind of wrapping things up, made me so happy. My heart was soaring. So I loved this. One of my other favorite mysteries this year, and this one I think it's pretty cozy. It feels more like kind of a golden age mystery in modern times to me, and that is The Golden Spoon by Jessa Maxwell. This is described by one of the blurbs on the front as Clue meets the Great British Bake Off, and that is the most apt description you could possibly have. This is so much fun. You're jumping around from different characters, and they're all contestants on this baking competition, which is of course set at this beautiful manor, and it's beautiful. It's just so gorgeous. You're reading different perspectives. You're jumping around. I thought each of the characters had a really distinct voice. I really enjoyed it. You were able to easily differentiate between them after only a little bit of time in the book. The characters themselves were wonderful, and of course someone ends up dying during the baking competition, and you know this from the very beginning because there's like a little snippet that like takes you back, like forward into the future. So you know like kind of when somebody has died, and you're leading up to it, so it's very suspenseful. The manor and the estate are really atmospheric. I mean, people even spend time in like the lounge and like the billiard room, just like a Clue character would. It's so great. There were so many layers to this mystery. I loved it. I cannot wait to read more. I think this was Jessa Maxwell's debut, so I am so excited to read more from her as an author because this was fabulous. Okay, so jumping into thrillers, the first one I read that I just wow was The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. This will give you chills. This was so heart-pounding, scary. The ending, my mouth was on the floor, like my jaw was on the floor. Basically, we have this woman who's like down on her luck. She applies to be a nanny at this like to this very like wealthy couple. They have 2 young daughters, and they live in this remote manor that's like really high tech because the couple is actually like, they're like these really well-known architects. They do these really extensive projects, and they have a beautiful home, but they've added all this like smart technology. So you feel like you're always being watched, which creeps me out. I personally don't really use a lot of like smart technology like that because it just kind of freaks me out in general. So this book really played on that for me. And the nanny, she arrives and she's only just starting to like get to know the kids a little bit when the parents suddenly have to leave, which was not the plan, but they leave, and she's stuck there with them, and she's hearing things. She's hearing footsteps in the like hallways, all of this stuff, and it's such a suspenseful build-up, so super horrifying. The ending for this, like I said, was absolutely jaw-dropping for me. It was one of the best endings I've read. It's one of my, I think it's my favorite Ruth Ware, and I really love Ruth Ware's work, but this is my favorite, I'd have to say, and I just really recommend it. The House in the Pines by Anna Reyes. This one gave me shivers. It played on something that I'm personally very like afraid of. So The House in the Pines, our main character basically had witnessed her friend's death as a teenager, and it's really stuck with her, of course, because that's really terrifying. And at the time, she'd accused this man they were with, even though he never laid a finger on her. So that's quite the mystery in itself. And fast forward to the future now. She is struggling as an adult. She has a lot of like substance abuse issues, and she's really trying to cope with things using that. And she sees this clip that's gone viral online, and it features the same man who she had accused with a different woman who dies under mysterious circumstances. Again, she's not touched, he doesn't even lay a finger on her. But she ends up going back to her hometown, and she's determined to find out what really happened and to like clear her memories, because she's got a lot of hazy memories from that time. And it's a very, very interesting read. The ending was just like gives me chills. It's a bit of a slow, it's definitely a slow burn thriller. You have to be patient with it, but the payoff, for me at least, was really worth it. I will say, definitely, I would look up trigger warnings in general for thrillers because they just tend to be very dark, but this one has a lot of heavy themes with substance abuse, so keep that in mind if that would be something that's hard for you to read. People Like Her by Ellery Adams. This one involves a influencer mom, like a mommy influencer, and she is extremely popular. She is very well known. She showcases her whole like perfect life, except of course she kind of, even though she really does have it together, she kind of plays up the messy mom, relatable mom persona online, and you're reading from her perspective and then her husband's perspective. And her husband, he's not, I mean, he enjoys the privilege of like the money because she makes really amazing money, but he's not down with this. He hates the showmanship of her like influencing job. And so you'll be reading, it's actually quite funny. You'll be reading her perspective of like a scene, and then it'll jump to him and he's like, no, this is actually what's happening. And it's so literal and blunt compared to her very like, you know, aesthetic like description of something. It's really, really interesting to read that dichotomy. But basically, she is giving out too much information about herself online. Someone gets a hold of information about where she lives and bad things happen, and it's very, very, very heart-wrenching. Oh my goodness. I would especially advise you, if you are a parent or things about children are really sensitive to you, I would maybe particularly look up the trigger warnings for this one, because it was very intense even for me, and I'm not a parent, but I was just sitting there like, wow, okay. But I thought it was a very good commentary about how much we share online, and I know that's a little ironic because I'm sitting here filming a YouTube video for the internet, but at the same time, you know, I do try to keep like personal information private because I do want to, you know, protect my own safety and stuff like that. And I thought this was a very interesting commentary on that. I, as a whole, feel like family vlogging, like extensive family vlogging, especially where you're really showcasing everything about your kid's life, I don't really agree with that practice. I feel like that's really dangerous, and this really shows the dangers of that. And it's very, very heart-wrenching, very intense. And again, I really loved that it was written from both her and her husband's perspective, because it was just such a difference in approach and viewpoints on things, and that was really interesting. The only thing I didn't love about this book was the very like kind of like post ending where it kind of wrapped up where certain characters were, because I didn't find it fully believable. But otherwise, I loved it. I thought it was a really interesting commentary and a very, very intense thriller. The Coworker by Freeden McFadden. Wow. So I read this, I think at the very beginning, actually December. So there was only 2 books on this list from December itself, and this was really intense. So The Coworker is very interesting. Basically, we have our main character we're following, Natalie. She's the top saleswoman at this like nutrition supplement company. She's really good at what she does. She's in a successful relationship. She looks great. She's got everything you think, you know, a woman would want, basically. She's got like the relationship, the money, the guy, like she's got it, right? So she seems to have her life put together. One day she arrives at work, and her coworker Dawn, who people describe as very odd, she's got some distinctive habits, she's a bit strange, maybe not the most social person, is gone. And this is really concerning because Dawn is the most like punctual, structured, routine kind of person. And she didn't call out. She's never late. And Natalie's really concerned because she's like, that's weird. Like, why is she not there? She starts to kind of raise the alarm, and it's later discovered that Dawn has disappeared, and it looks like she's been murdered. And Natalie's kind of looking along this case, and wow, the ending for this got me on several levels. There were some amazing twists with this. I just really enjoyed the characters, even though they're not like perfect characters by any means. They're not perfect people, but they're really entertaining to read about, and that's what I'm mostly looking for in a thriller, is not aspirational people to like aspire to. It's more entertaining people, and this was just like a hot mess of characters, but really fun. Another one I loved was His and Hers by Alice Feeney. I strongly recommend this. I've read quite a few Alice Feeney's, and this one was by far, I mean, Rock, Paper, Scissors was really, really good too. A lot of them are really good, but I loved His and Her. So we have our main character we're following. It does follow a his and hers perspective, but Anna is our main kind of gal we're following, and she is a news reporter, and she's sent back to her hometown, which is this quintessential little British village. Already love the setting. And there a young woman has been murdered. A lot of drama there. And we also encounter our male point of view, Jack, and he is the detective on the case. He's the local detective in the town, and he has a secret about the woman, and so does Anna. They both somehow know the woman, and we know this going in, and it's very suspenseful, very dramatic. There's a lot of interesting things that come out from the past with Anna, and the ending for this, I pieced it together, like the who behind it and everything. But wow, the way it was delivered and just the impact, I was floored. I sat there after I finished the book and just had to let it like digest for like 10 minutes before I could even get out of bed and like move on with my life, because I was just like, wow, okay. It was a really intense ending. I personally really adore it. I feel like it's not talked about as much as some of her other books, but I highly recommend it. It was intense. It was such a good reveal in my opinion. Absolutely floored me. Again, very, very dark. Would recommend maybe looking up some warnings, but super good. Okay, and then last but not least, I mean, this one kind of started a lot of the thrillers that I love today. Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. So that came out in 2012. I read that recently in November because I just felt like I had to, even though I knew one of like the primary twists for this, I just felt like I had to read it because I knew it inspired so many of the thrillers I love today. And even though I knew the biggest twist of this, I was still so shocked by the twist at the same time. And basically in this one, we're following a husband, and his wife Amy has disappeared. Nobody knows where she is. Like, she's gone, vanished. She appears to have been like abducted or something. And he is trying to find her, but the more he looks and stuff, the more the police start to suspect him. So you're reading from his perspective, and you're just like scared for him because he seems like a genuinely confused, concerned husband, even though, you know, their marriage had issues and stuff, but like he seems genuinely concerned about her. And the more he tries to like get involved and try to find his wife, the more these things come up that make him look guilty. And it's so harrowing, and the writing style is particularly like addictive. I don't know how to describe it, but it was a longer thriller than most. It was like over 400 pages, but it was just so fast paced. I had the most difficult time trying to put this book down. It was such a fast paced, thrilling read. It was so riveting. I highly recommend it. I think it inspires so many modern thrillers that we know and love today, and it was so good. Even if you know the twist, because I know there's like a movie on it, and so I had seen like a clip from the movie that really gave away something. And it was, even with a spoiler, it was still so incredibly good. And that is the end of my 2023 best books. If you made it this long, thank you so much for watching. Please let me know, what are your top 3 reads from this year? I would love to know. I love hearing your guys' recommendations. So many of you inspired some of the books that were on this list, so thank you again. And if you have watched this long, I hope you have a very happy start to the new year, and a Merry Christmas if you celebrate. So I will see you guys in my next video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe. I do post new book content every week on this channel, especially within the mystery to thriller and like some cozy living stuff. So if you enjoy that, definitely hit subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye!